I'm Chloe and I'm going to be showing you how to make a sparkling array of projects perfect for that special day. Whether it's for your own wedding or for someone else, join me as we create everything from hair combs to bracelets and necklaces. Let's get started. This bridal statement necklace is a perfect, elegant accompaniment to a dress. It adds just a bit of style as well as a bit of detail, especially if you've got a lower dress. It works really well. So I'm going to show you how to make this using some slightly different accompaniments just to give you some more ideas. You're going to need a Swarovski rondelle. You're going to need a Swarovski Rivolis 12mm, one of these great new findings from Tierra Cast, a large statement bead to use as a focal off to the side, eye pins, small pearls or beads approximately 3 or 4mm, and then a selection of chains. I'm using a fine one and a slightly thicker. You're also going to need a trigger clasp or a clasp of some kind, and a selection of jump rings. So let's get started. I'm going to start by doing the chain part, and I'm going to do this by taking 3 different lengths of chain. I'm going to use 2 fine chains and 1 thicker chain. Now this you will need to measure to yourself, but you're going to want the 2 main focal parts to sit about here. They don't have to be symmetrical. If you want to make them asymmetric, that's totally up to you. So in order to sit about here, you're going to need to play around with where you want your chain to be. So I think mine, for me, would sit well there. So I'm going to cut one piece there. And I'm going to make another piece slightly longer. But only slightly, and that's going to give it the variations in length. Probably about 1 inch longer is good. And then this one, I'm going to make about a medium length, so it comes on a kind of somewhere in between. So I'm just going to cut that there. So those are my 3 chains. Next, I'm going to use a jump ring to join those chains together and attach them to the bottom of this finding. I'm going to glue my stone in right at the very end so I can leave it to dry and not have to touch it for a while. There we go, so I'm going to attach that to here. Just by twisting open the jump ring. So I'm going to attach this heart bead. It's got quite a big hole, so I'm going to use 2 very plain silver seed beads either side. On an eye pin, just thread them on, and then making a loop at the top. Try to make it the same size as the loop at the bottom. So you're not going to need that very far down your pliers at all. Make your loop by bending the pliers away from you, bringing the wire over the top, taking the pliers to the top and taking the wire round underneath. I'm then going to use just chain nose pliers to snip that. And then I'm going to use cutters to snip it, and my chain nose pliers just to make sure it's in complete shape. There we go. So I'm going to attach that to the bottom, and I think I'm going to use a jump ring as well, just to make sure it's really flexible. Oh, I don't want those. I'm going to use my chain nose pliers and my round nose pliers to open my jump ring, just as before, by twisting it open. If you spread your chains out, make sure they're not twisted too much. They're going to twist a bit just naturally anyway, but if you make sure they go on this jump ring in the same order as they went on the other one, that way they're going to sit better on the neck and get less twisted. So I'm going to take this one first at the bottom, because that's the bottom one. And just before you close that jump ring, make sure you attach the bottom of the heart, and then just close that back up. So that's the bottom part of your necklace done. Next we need to attach the top part. So we're going to put that to one side, and we're going to make this chain part here, the link chain of beads. I'm going to be using eye pins, popping on the tiny bead and making a round loop as before. We're going to make a chain of about 4 or 5 or 6 of these, depending on how long you want your chain to be. Make sure your loop is as near as possible in size to the loop on the eye pin. If you don't have eye pins, you can make your own loops as well, just out of 0.6mm wire. But I've gone for the lazy option here today. So I'm going to make each one separately, each link, and then I'm going to join them together at the end. And even numbers always look good as well, so I think I'm going to go for 5 for this one. Ensure your loop is nice and close to your bead. So one more to go. So just opening those links just by twisting them open with your pliers and join them together. So that's my final one. And now I'm going to attach that straight onto the heart. So I'm just going to open that last link and close that. Next I'm going to use my leftover bits of chain, and I'm going to attach one to this side. Let's get these out of the way. And one to this side. So you're going to need your longer piece on this side here, and a shorter piece on this side here, and then we're going to attach our clasp to the end. In fact, I'm going to use that piece. So I'm going to use a jump ring just to attach. In fact, I want a smaller one, I think, just because the chain is so small. You'll find if you've got tiny, tiny links, you will have to use quite thin jump rings. So I'm going to just twist that open, attach that, and just twist that close again. And on that end, I'm going to add a trigger clasp using, again, a smaller jump ring. So that's that side, and to this side again, a tiny jump ring. In fact, I'm going to use that link to just attach that because that's nice and small. So just twisting open that link and persuading that chain onto there. There we go. And just twisting that close. Oh no. I think mine had a doff eye pin there. I'm just going to quickly change that one. Just sometimes you're going to get that one in the batch that just isn't going to be up to the job. So I'm just going to reattach that. There we go. And now measuring to make sure I've got the amount of chain that I need. I'm going to trim mine just there so that mine's a symmetrical necklace. And then attaching a jump ring. These tiny link chains can be a little tricky. There we go, and to add the finishing touch, we need to put our Rivolis in. I'm just going to use jewellery metal glue, and either this or you can use a 2-part epoxy resin. Just make sure you use them in a well ventilated area and leave them to dry. Don't be tempted to touch them before they're dry. So make sure your tube is open. So using your glue, you're just going to put a very small amount. Just squeeze that. This one's great because it's got a nozzle. Sometimes the 2-part epoxies just come with a little spatula. Just a very small amount. You don't want too much. And then dropping your Rivolis in, either using tweezers or just your fingers, and be really careful not to get any glue on the top of the stone. Just pop that in and leave to dry, and your necklace will be ready.